Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless. A sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it. And I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring. My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right, here we go from St. Louis, a place where I promise you we will not, and I'm knocking on wood because if my computer goes out tonight, I'm blaming St. Louis, have any kind of power outages to where the grid gets knocked off and we all take the issues like NASCAR did in real life. We're actually here outside of St. Louis, Missouri. We're actually over in the Illinois part of town, but we're ready to go racing tonight. Race number 15 of the Sim500 811.org Cup Series here from Worldwide Technology Raceway, aka Gateway, here in St. Louis. It's going to be a fun night of racing here. Madison, Illinois, technically the hometown here. 136 laps of racing on a track that is very hot, very slick, and we are going to see some interesting racing coming up. And I'll explain the interesting part here in just a second as we'll go through the race info here in just a moment. But right now the cars are on track, as we always like to do. Let's cut down to it real quick as Kevin England joins us. Kevin, loose, I think, is the word of the night that I'm hearing from drivers.
I think it's interesting.
That's a good word to use too.
No, you know what? It's funny because it's the combo package here.
Mm-hmm.
You're tight. Oh boy, you're loose, right? Coming up off the corner, if you get loose off the corner and try to catch it, and you make that right-hand turn and nose the thing into the wall, and that's just Gateway. Boy, I tell you, especially off of turn number 4, you have got to be really careful of getting back to the throttle, but yet, the faster you get back to the throttle, the more speed you make to make a pass. So it's a knife's edge coming off of that corner to try and make speed at this racetrack.
All right, so the Polo Award, of course, brought to you by 811. Notes below. Before you dig, please call. And yeah, the track's very loose, very free, interesting, because we have a low bank track that looks like Motegi / Darlington, and a lot of shifting. Loudon's a good way of putting it too. It's very interesting. 1.25 mile track. I've got the rolling ticker up top going because I've come to notice that there's an edit I made to the main ticker that I used for the race. I apparently did something on the qualifying end and messed it up. So that's why you're not seeing it up on the screen. You're going to see the rolling one going across the top here, and hopefully it'll update throughout. But right now, Donnie Leah, who we're on riding with right now, just took the pole in this 29 car, the Kevin Harvick Busch Light car, with a lap of 34.51. He's got Pedro Mojica beat by 8/100ths of a second right now. Jose Gonzalez, Doy Woods, and Wesley Donaldson. But Kevin, these guys, as you started to talk about, man, this is going to be sketchy.
I believe that's true, right? You're going to have to be kind of careful, but yet every time we have a restart, that provides the best opportunity to make a pass because you're in close vicinity and you're not in that conveyor belt mode. So I suspect they'll be passively aggressive on these restarts. And yeah, the interesting part is the actual build of this racetrack that they chose. And it's got that strange thing on the backstretch. And
well, that used to be the one way to get out of the track here, I think, was the way that was set up. But then, of course, now it's sealed off, I believe. There's in iRacing, there's an actual dumpster back there, which I'm actually sitting on today. But either way, or not a dumpster, but a porta potty. But I've actually set up a camera there too, believe it or not. Oh yeah, we're gonna have some fun here. But Scott Simley, we're watching him right now, and this is that spot you're talking about. So right here is a gap in the wall, and there's the Porta-John. You can't see me because I'm invisible. Yes. But and in the highway in the background, which if you don't have a good computer, will take up a whole lot of usage, basically, on that thing. If you don't have a potato, as they like to call it, you'll be okay. But yeah, this track, 9 degrees of banking, turn 1 and 2, 11 degrees of banking in 3 and 4. You're going to shift up to at least once here, if not 2 times in 1 and 2. Now, I said last night, I kind of teased out, Kev, the groove in 1 and 2. Those 2 lines, that is the groove around this track. How weird this sounds, because I said last night in the broadcast, I'll have to show you on the screen a specific groove in 1 and 2 that you have to run, because you can't run the bottom because it's too short of a radius, if you will. And the top part's just too far up, so you have to find a spot, and that spot happens to be, and you'll see here when we get into the race, these 2 lines in 1 and 2 literally are the way you got to go to get around this track, it seems like, in a respectful manner. So just Donnie Leah wins the 811 Know It's Below Call Before You Dig pole award, and we didn't see really anybody wreck in qualifying, which is definitely some great news, but we did see Donnie Leah go to the pole. And I guess the question here is tonight is, are we going to see a ton of yellow?
I think we will see our fair share of yellows tonight. I just, this type of racetrack lends to the fact that the only way you're going to make a pass is to jam a little bit. And when someone sees an opportunity, how hard it is to pass is going to require you to dig in a little bit, to root, to gouge. We also have this pit road dynamic for this racetrack where you come in off the backstretch, so that gets to be tricky. There's just so many idiosyncrasies, easy for me to say, that are going to give character to this event. I don't believe, like last week, where we're going to have long green flag stretches at my prediction on the outset tonight. Yeah, I think we're going to see that yellow flag wave a little bit, which is cool, because ultimately I think that's going to lead Chris to a lot of different pit strategies.
It could, but I would pick on you for your word saying, but that would be me picking on somebody from Jersey, and we got somebody from up north in the channel with me, and that's 2 on 1. Donnie Leah joins us in the booth. Donnie, congrats on the pole, man. I kind of joked with you in the other chat a little bit ago. I was like, man, this track's perfect for a modified to be driving with this car, and you're like, no.
Yeah. These things, they're definitely a handful. This is going to be interesting. It's either going to be, I think you mentioned it in the chat too, it's either going to be like no cautions at all, because everyone's going to be real careful, or it's going to be a little rough tonight. So we'll see. It could go either way here.
Obviously, we're seeing a lot of shifting going on. We double shifting, you think, down to turn 1 and 2, or are we staying in 4th gear? Is that just kind of depends on the setup or tire wear or whatnot?
I'm shifting down to 3rd and 1 and 2. Than just 4th on the other end, but I really don't know. I have no idea. Whatever laps I have here is just what we just had in practice. So tire wear seems to be pretty even, so that's kind of a good thing.
Okay.
Right sides, which is good. So Pedro said in the chat a few minutes ago, it's going to be like Darlington a little bit. Just you're racing the racetrack almost. Not overdriving it into the corner, because it's just you miss by a little bit getting in or getting on the brakes, getting in the corner, and you're just going straight. It just doesn't turn, it doesn't stop, it just doesn't really drive that great. But you know what? Sometimes that makes for a good race. So we'll see what happens here.
Absolutely.
But thanks for you guys dealing with us on the stream tonight. It might be a long one.
Nah, it's all good. We're ready for it, man. Hey, best of luck. Congrats on the pole.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.
Donnie Leah wins the pole tonight, presented by 811, so thanks to him and best of luck. All right, let's run through the numbers here as we get him down to team name, race information tonight. It's race 15 of the season, 136 laps, which comes out to 170 miles, 3 sets of tires, 100% fuel, and I put that for 75 to 80-ish laps because it depends on all the shifting and stuff. And Byron Daly won this race last season. Are we ready, Kev? We're in for a marathon. Pace cars in. Donnie Leah, Pedro Mojica lead them to the green flag here at Worldwide Technology Raceway, a.k.a. Gateway. And we're green. Race 15. as they drag race down to turn 1. This is where it gets interesting because you got different braking points. Jimmy Coleman, by the way, starts from the pits as the cameras tonight, presented by TrackCams22.com. You check them out online on Facebook and in the iRacing forums at TrackCams22.com.
Yeah, what a drag race down the backstretch to see if Donnie was going to be able to hold serve over top of Pedro. Pedro got to the outside of him.
Oh, got some issues. Stoney Benfield is going around, along with the 22 of Nelson Rivera. Oh,
I believe they're facing the wrong way there, Cotton.
Just a wee bit. I was actually about to say hello to the field or to the group on chat watching tonight, but unfortunately, the faster pastor's now going backwards. And that brings the first caution out here in the evening. Let's see what happened. I'm going to blame whoever on this wreck for killing my viewers.
Yeah.
I just lost the whole Stoney Benfield crew. Let's see.
I believe you can patch that thing up. If it's the first lap, you got plenty of time. Somebody was it the 22 down there?
Oh, Nelson locked up. Something happened. The car turned left. Oh, and he just gets it. Oh, he clobbers Stoney.
Crunch, crunch.
That looked very weird.
It was a double Mustang running down there. I wonder if he just checked up to try and keep off of Kevin in front of him. Maybe he has the brake bias correctly.
I see exactly what happened. Inside the car is exactly. He was in fourth gear. Nelson was the whole entire time, and he went to engine shift. Or engine brake, if you will, and it was a little too early to do that. He hit 9,100 RPM going into the corner, so kind of a money shift. Sent that car sideways.
Whoops. Yeah, okay, that does explain it. If you jam it in third at that stage, you're going to just lock the rear wheels up.
He was about a second or two too soon on the, and I totally understand the engine braking, but. A little too early on that one, but caution out for the first time.
I have a sense that we're going to talk about that a lot tonight, so we might as well just kind of set the primer on that. When you're coming down the straightaway, you could apply the brakes, and the brakes will slow the car down, but if you downshift at the right point, it's like a truck with an engine brake on the highway. It will slow the car down.
It's like that loud on the highway.
Nice Jake brake there.
Yeah, right?
And sometimes the drivers not only are going from fifth to fourth, they'll go all the way down to third, and that allows them to turn the center of the corner and then hammer down and have the RPMs to drive up off and get a good launch out of the corner. But you need to be really careful as to how you downshift, because if you're carrying the wrong RPM, you can do kind of what we might suspect that Nelson did there, is lock up the tires instead of slowing down. It just flat out locks the brakes up, so to speak.
Now, the one term you will not hear us say in this is wheel hop, because with the independent suspension on the rear end now, and the transaxle, which is a mixture of a transmission slash axle on the car, it has eliminated the whole prospect of wheel hopping. So you're not going to hear that whole ba 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 into the corner and then spinning out. It's just going to spin. So it's going to be something to keep track of as we go into this race. So we'll show you the point standings and stuff coming up here just in a moment or two once we get settled in. But we got ourselves a long ways to go before we get to the playoffs this season. Unlike on Sunday nights where we're less than 5 races away now from the playoffs, we're just getting this game kicking here on the Cup side. So pace car is in. Mojica and Donnie Leah lead them back to the green flag. Gonzalez, Woods, and Donaldson bring them to turn 1.
So far, so good. Side by side in the corner is always a nerve-wracking situation on these restarts. You're running the high line, trying to make sure that you leave enough room for the low line, but yet you get a good run up off the corner, and if you have something and there's a space in front of you, you might try to jump in that hole. Everybody's still kind of minding their P's and Q's. You see Josh Parker making a 3 wide out back on the outside of Ron Hollifield, and they've got John Fowler right in front of him, which is going to prevent his surge, so to speak.
You see the track temp at 120 degrees right now. You want to say that these cars are going to show some patience as Fowler goes up there and hits the outside wall, but I'm not so sure. I mean, you'll see patience, but I think you're going to see some guys make some aggressive moves here. This is a track where you can do so because you're going to have cars backing up the corner here to try to insert the corner, and that'll allow others with different braking points to just dive it in there. So I think a majority of the wrecks you're going to see tonight, and of course the first one wasn't one of those, but the notorious just run over somebody going into the corner because you just braked too deep.
There's a dynamic that we don't talk about much is when you're running this type of racetrack where you have somebody on your back bumper. As you go down into the corner, you tend to take that glance to see where they're at. You lose track of who's in front of you to make sure that you're not going to get run over, and you kind of have to mind your P's and Q's about what's out front and what's out behind you. It makes this track a little bit different of a dynamic than, say, the 1.5 mile cookie cutter tracks where you tend to have a little more space. You want to be right on someone's bumper in order to execute the pass. If you get a run on them on the straightaway and draw alongside, take that bottom line as one way up high slips up. That is the way you're going to get around and make some of the passes. It was the 42 of Scott Stenzel out there in the high groove in turn 1 and 2, but he was able to collect it and carry on.
Stenzel able to carry on, as you mentioned. Stoney Benfield yet to return to the track, so his car had a lot of damage on it. Jimmy Coleman is back off the track. Not sure what's happened to him, but he only got 3 laps in, and he has parked his car on pit road. Not sure what's going on there. Nelson Rivera is a lap down after his incident, so already some drama for some of the cars in this race. Oh, and contacted around Josh Parker, I think that is.
Yeah, Parker's
Parker.
around. Stenzel's
Randy
down
Yoakum.
in the bottom. The 6 of Montesi got involved over there out of turn 2. We go under yellow one more time.
The second caution comes out, and I think that could be a product of the whole entry deal. So the reason why you heard Donnie mention it in the interview, and this is where my concept comes into play, but so far my concept is not good. Some of the best races I have seen on iRacing have come from setups that are loose like this. Now, common sense wise, makes absolutely no sense. But when it comes to the iRacing side of things, I think what it comes down to is people are being careful. But obviously we got 2 cautions 10 laps in here, so let's see what happens going into turn 1. Oh, who was that? Who was that that clobbered the inside wall back there? So we go into 1 and 2 here. Randy Yoakum just gets in way too deep. Jeff Ryan gets a piece.
It almost looked like he went in, locked it up, let off, and the car, when he let off, went out, darted out to the right, and just got that quarter panel of Josh Parker, sent him around.
I'm trying to see who the car is that went off turn 3 and or over here in turn 4 that got the inside wall as they were coming down the straightaway here as I go to ride with Yoakum.
I'll tell you, there were a lot of cars involved in that over there. There's no place to hide on this racetrack. Just went in, locked him up, and then the car just chased all the way out.
This is going to sound weird, and just to compare the drivers to... Ooh, and Randy gets clobbered by somebody from behind. So...
Yeah, the 48 got him.
Aw. Well, sorry to hear that, Barbara and Ruth and Kip. All you guys, appreciate you watching. Hopefully you'll stay around, but totally understandable. Looks like Stoney's out tonight. So kind of explaining on board here Randy's car. Some people think this is too early, but I'm going to explain where I brake at when I run this track, because I'm one of those early brakers. I'm going to stop the car right now. That's my braking point going into turn 1, is the wall to the inside. When it ends, I brake at this point. And have I been run over before? Yes. But for some reason, I seem to have better luck going into the corner. Now, as you see, Randy's on that at the same point there, but locks up the brakes, and so I can't say he drove it in too deep, but just some reason the car just didn't stop. And as you mentioned, locked up, and then somebody got him from behind there. So
there's a 7-step program for that brake and early thing. You can join, but you know, I'd be sitting right alongside you. I have a sense that maybe he was looking to downshift and missed the downshift. And then in order to compensate, he stepped on the brakes and the car just slid the nose. There's all kinds of things that go on entry
Possible.
when you're trying to figure that out.
But now, let me throw this out there also, because this is a factor. This is not the same surface that they have in real life right now. This is the surface before the repave that this track did back in 2019, I think it is, or 18. There was a repave to Gateway. And this is the old surface from before that. So the grip on this track is not near what you saw a couple weeks ago in the 12 hours of Gateway.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just saying. So there's so many factors.
It is.
So, I mean, it's what it was. We had lightning delay for what, 3 hours? You had the power outage try to happen. I mean, but hey, let's show you, as I promised, the point standings as we enter tonight's race here. And so far, thankfully, nobody, I think, has been affected big time by the points yet. But Pedro Mojica leads. Let me make sure it's the right standings, because that looks very familiar. We're going to make sure real quickly here. So Mojica leads Coleman by 66. It is correct, because I remember, I think last night Coleman's in third. No, it's not the right point standings. For some reason, it did not. Oh, wait, that's Xfinity. It is the right point standings. I'll figure it out one way or another. We'll get it right here. Monday night. I'm pulling it up right now to make sure we're good. All right, that is the accurate standings. So Coleman leads, trails by 66, Comstock 96 back, and Kelly and Glazier. And you look down there, 20 people make the playoffs. And remember, the key number here is 10. And I say that because you cannot have more than 4 missed races. So as for Justin Mons, he will not be in the playoffs this season. If anybody like EJ O'Rourke, he's here tonight, so he's good right now. Tommy Ryan, not sure if he's in the race tonight, but if he's not, then he'll be officially eliminated from the playoffs. So that's where we sit as we go into round 15 as of right now. But the bubble boy is Charles Van Schaik, and I don't think he's here either tonight. So we could see a little bit of a Yahtzee shakeup, if you will, in the points as we go back racing. Donnie Leah, Mojica, Doy Woods, Gonzalez, and Kevin DeBrown, as Kevin almost stuck her in there. 3 wide, and Jose beeline to the outside wall.
Wow, that was a huge hit. And no, the 42 followed him in.
I want to wait till I see the replay there, but there might have been contact with Kevin and Jose.
I have no idea that this was going to happen. I just didn't anticipate that. Those were some massive hits. We saw Stoney Benfield take that kind of hit. Well, those are probably even more.
Add another victim, EJ O'Rourke. Last night's winner at Charlotte, which, by the way, I had no clue of this until I saw it announced. Last night was EJ O'Rourke's 1,000th Sim500 start, and he went to victory lane.
I did not know that.
So that's something that, as far as I know, only 2 drivers have made their... that's going to leave a mark. Only 2 people have made their 1,000th start so far in this league, Chad Coleman and EJ. So EJ's the first one, as far as I know, that has made a win in his first career start. So let's see the restart here. Kevin DeBrown's going to make a move into the middle here on Jose. Jose leaves a little gap. Oh, yeah, there was contact.
Yeah.
That, unfortunately, that's avoidable. Oh, and Fowler gets into him, too. I hate to say that, but that was avoidable.
Hey, EJ's still riding around here. Car smoking. He's definitely... car is just destroyed.
Well, I know St. Louis is the home of Anheuser-Busch. Isn't it also the home of RJ Tobacco? Yeah, never mind. RJ Reynolds, aren't they from St. Louis?
RJ Reynolds? No, they're Virginia somewhere.
Oh, so EJ went to avoid the 26.
Correct.
And overcorrected into the wall. That's what happened there.
When he cranked the wheel into trying to pull it down, it just stepped out and did what we talked about. Now he spins out on pit road.
Poor EJ. He's gained like 10 incident points in the matter of... And by the way, this is the new build on these cars. So they got the new damage model. That's why you're seeing sheet metal and things flying all over the place now.
That right front wheel is pointed out. It's heading south. Going south there. You can fix it though with a couple cars out. You can gain some points here. So as much as it might mean a long period of time getting the car repaired, if you ran a couple laps, you might be able to pick up a position or two. I don't know how important it is to the individuals here involved in this, but ZJ Rourke finally made it to his pit stall. Somebody better get an extinguisher. That thing is really smoking.
So interesting situation that has happened here is, well, my timing and scoring's even messed up right now. Oh, it's Jimmy Coleman ahead of Donnie Leah. That's why. I'm thinking it's Pedro in front of Donnie, but I'm getting Trans-Surface cars mixed up already here. So you got Jimmy Coleman ahead of Donnie Leah, and he's going to get a wave around. He will only be 10 laps down now, or 9. John Fowler's got behind the wall. Brian Wortman's on pit road. Van Schaik is actually in the race, so I stand corrected there. Doug Sigmund's in this race, and he has had some issues in the 04. Either that or he's pitting a lot, so is Wortman.
Yeah, so far I've kept an eye on the 04. He's been able to avoid all this. You know, when you run, I don't believe he opted to qualify. And when you run out in the back, you have to play dodgeball every once in a while and make sure that you don't get into some of these skirmishes. And he may have locked them down or done a little of this or that, but so far I think the 04 of Doug Sigmund is unscathed, as is the 74.
So 18 laps complete. And we'll get one to go this time by. Donnie's going to take the outside lane.
Well, this has been rather adventurous.
I'd say so.
Like I said, I don't know that I would have expected that.
You know what else in St. Louis was adventurous? The first race in this track's history. At the time, Busch Grant National Series. I'm going to use Racing Reference as my reference here because when I tell you it was adventurous, and I think to this day it's close, but I believe it is still the longest Xfinity race of all time. It was a race that I pull it up right now. It was won by Elliott Sadler. It was a... Let's make sure I get to the right numbers here real quick. I'm just trying to pull up the right races. We get ready to come to green. It was a 1997. At the time, it was a 300-mile race, which is the cup distance now. As the green comes out. The race had 14 cautions. The track actually started to fall apart, and I believe the weather that day, I think it was like Africa hot. And the track actually came apart. And if you listen to the Dale Jr. podcast, there's talks, and I think he actually admits it finally, that he actually wrecked on purpose so he could get out of the car because it was so hot.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I do remember that story.
Little did he know that he would be in somebody else's car because that person got hot after a while.
Well, Donnie Leah was able to successfully fend off Pedro Mojica. He's got the clean air in 3 car lengths over the 58 with Kevin DeBrown running third, Doy Woods and Anthony Calantoni rounding out the top 5. And this time, at lap number 20, everybody's kind of settled in single file here.
Well, go ahead.
Well, here comes Brian Macklin on the bottom of Mike Kelly. They're side by side out of turn number 4. I think that high line's going to prevail there, and Macklin's going to have to tuck tail and get behind Kelly on the entry to 1.
This is one of those rare leagues. Chad!
Ooh, wow. We're both looking at the same thing. Holy cow, that was close.
Chad Coleman.
Kelly got sideways off of 4.
Chad Coleman
or
in
off
a new...
of 2.
I know what you meant. In a new paint scheme there, Jim Beam on his car drove that thing and got a little tight in the corners. And I bring this up. This is one of those rare leagues where these guys know what they're doing when it comes to when they see a bat. I mean, use last night for an example at Charlotte. We had 4 cautions in the first 30 laps, I think it was, or something like that, and then they straightened up and got things going the right way.
Yep. Just as soon as you say that, they're sideways with the, I believe it was
All right,
the
I'm trying to
38.
make this positive here. Come on.
Simley got involved in it. That one wasn't too egregious, but just two cars fighting over the same real estate. And I think it's in that same mix as Chad Coleman got tagged on entry there.
All right, so Coleman
Who
goes
got
around.
him? Priory? Yeah. Priory nicked him.
Looks like Simley had issues too with this, but caution out for the 4th time. Let's review.
Good hands for Eric Arnold there.
Ah.
The outside.
Frary comes in from a few car lengths deep, unfortunately. Oh, there's Simley making the contact. And we got a Heine hitting a Jim Beam. Getting wrecked by the Miller Genuine Draft looking paint scheme.
That's good. That's one for the reels.
Whole bunch of alcohol getting mixed in together there. Not a good thing.
This is a dodgeball kind of night, isn't it?
If you could dodge the car behind you. But no, so this is that product I talked about a little bit ago, the different braking points. So Chad is on the binders here. And then when you go back here to Robert Frary in the 77, he's got a little bit of a later braking point here because he's got nobody in front of him. And unfortunately, Robert is able to go blow by Eric Arnold here. And just, bam, there's Chad.
He almost had a free spot till Simley came along and just had no place to go. And you can't, you say you could yell at the screen, come on, Scott, why didn't you slow down? But when you enter that corner and you're carrying that speed, you're just along for the ride. There's no way to get the car woed up.
It invites you to dive into a corner like that. But this goes back to what, I think it was you that mentioned it. Or, you know what? I'm sorry, it was Donnie that mentioned it during the interview. He said you have to race the track.
Yes.
And I think right now we're at that stake where we have to race the track. Because otherwise it's you're going to run into cars and have that kind of situation where you come in from about a half second back and you get into another car. Kind of like a road course, so to say. So just a tough situation again for that. And for Chad, unfortunately, it looks like he is behind the wall or at least getting damage fixed. So it's Scott Simley. And this could be a long night.
I don't know that Chad has that much damage, though. My suspicion is he'll be able to stay on the lead lap here, and he's got plenty of time to get the car fixed.
Yeah, Scott's leaving the pits now. Here comes Chad leaving, so they're both going to stay on the lead lap, it looks like.
Yeah. We're going to look back at that moment and look at the 31 of Eric Arnold. If he has a good race tonight, there's a footnote of he didn't panic. He could have easily locked the brakes up, went out and slapped the right side against the wall, but just eased on the brake, eased up to the outside, just ever so slightly, had some contact with the 38, but did an outstanding job not making that situation worse for everybody involved, including himself. And if he has a good finish tonight, that's going to be one where he looks back as, see Simley over there in the grass, do I not?
He is in the grass. Maybe had some issues getting into the pit road there, which is, I've been told that's very easy to do here with this slick track that they're on right now. Everybody's having a hard time braking and getting on the pit road's entrance, which, remember, as you said earlier, is over in turn 3. So I wonder if he'll get an unsafe entrance for that. So
yeah, he just got in a little too hard, and yeah, that's what I said. This track is full of gremlins as far as, just tackling all the little facets. And, I'll say this to you, and I know you'll understand this. It's not a track we race a lot. And so a lot of those muscle memory, familiarity things of coming back to Charlotte for the 50th time, you don't have that at this racetrack. You don't really understand how fast you might want to enter pit road. As Scott Simley just demonstrated, it's hard to navigate this racetrack. You have to kind of be conservative in the way that you operate here.
now, to defend the situation we're in right now, we had 140 laps last year at this track, and there were 12 cautions in that race. So this is not unusual. Let's unfortunately say that, because right now, if you do the math, we're about 14 laps, or actually more, about 12 laps away from the 1/4 mark. So we're on pace right for that number, or around that number, if not a little more. So we're going to have some wrecks, unfortunately, and we're going to have some good racing, I think, with it. Byron Daly, of course, won last season's race by 1.4 seconds. over Trey Eidson, Chad Coleman, Brian Macklin, and Nelson Rivera. So we're going to have the drama here. We're going to have some incidents. We're going to have racing. But it's just what it is, and we're going to enjoy it. It's going to be some good stuff here from the league here. But we'll see.
I'll do my Larry Mack and tell you that we're going to have a green flag pit stop later in this race. I almost guarantee it.
I'm staring at my screen. I'm staring at my screen right now. Green flag coming out for Donnie Leo. You do know that the stint is like 75 to 80 laps, right?
We're going to do that.
Okay. I like it. I like the positivity. I'm good with it.
Yeah, because at some point they'll sort this out and everybody will kind of settle in. And when that happens, I think it's a fairly reasonable track to navigate. And then it's going to be, to your point, to Donnie's point, race to racetrack. We just need to get some laps and sort some things out. Fast cars get up front, slower cars get toward the middle and the back, and then we're going to ride along for a while.
I think Kevin England's going with his NIS strategy here.
Yeah. No, I just have a sense.
Nothing wrong with that. As we watch Calantoni drive in here on inside of Wesley Donaldson, turn one. Doy Woods there right in front of them. Tyler Dalton right behind him as we are starting to see a battle for the lead potentially. Donnie Leah not getting as big of a restart as he's been getting. And Pedro Mojica's right there with him, so is Kevin DeBrown. Doy Woods there in the fourth position.
I think some of these guys have that number 58 circle, thinking if he gets out in front, he's going to do what he's done a couple times this season and drive away from him. So if I am the 93 of Kevin DeBrown, I'm going to throw a rope out and hook onto the back of that bumper as Donnie went up high in the entry to turn one. That opens the door for the 58 to slide underneath, but he got it a good run out of turn number two and covered the spot. They're now nose to tail going into three.
Sorry, I oohed because Macklin and Dalton almost came together. Parker sends it down to the apron almost to get into Dalton. We almost had carnage in turn 3 and 4 there, but they were 3 wide almost with Mike Kelly and Brian Macklin, those guys back here around the 8th position. That almost got ugly, but Donnie I've watched a couple times run that top side. I don't know if he's doing it purposely or not, but he is up there. Mike Kelly's on the apron, just got hit by Dalton.
These guys are not making me.
I think the shifting.
Very smart here.
I think the early shifting in these cars are causing them to get loose in.
The 81 was flat sideways going off the corner in turn 2 over there as the 58 went out. Oh!
Donaldson.
What happened there? He just took a due right-hand turn and killed the car. I don't understand what that was about for Wesley Donaldson. It must have been a shift problem.
5th caution out, and I wonder if that's becoming an issue. These guys are not able to stop, so they're using the braking with the shifting and almost like an engine brake, and it's causing the car to break loose. Wesley was running all the way up here in the 5th position.
My sense is these guys, they feel like they need to go down to 3rd. I don't know if that's a mistake.
Wow. That thing twitched.
He went down to maybe even 2nd and just creamed the wall. The front of the car is absolutely destroyed.
Well, there's a way to find out. Let's go on board. Up to 4th gear. Up to 5th. It's down to 4th. There's 3rd. It's loose.
And boom.
Mm-hmm. So it wasn't even a money shift. It was just the car got loose in 3rd gear.
I remember driving this track, in NIS, and you go down to 4th, and if you just lay on the brake ever so lightly and go down to 4th, it does get to the center. And then if you wanted to pull 3rd, once you ease off the brake and start to step on the gas, if you didn't feel like you had the RPM you need, you can go to 3rd. But these guys are pretty aggressive in going down to 3rd to break the car.
I want to see this again because I want to see what the RPM is when he goes from 5th to 4th. 7,900.
Yeah, right up to 7,500.
So the RPM's almost matched up. So it's not like there was a big RPM difference. I think, though,
he was down around 63, 65, I thought, when he went to 3rd.
Well, the one thing I'll say is I wonder if this goes back to the common sense thing here. The car's probably set up to run 4th gear through the corner, not 3rd.
Right.
So, and obviously, the lower gear you go into, obviously, The more wheel spin, more RPMs, which causes your car to spin out. So these guys are learning, unfortunately, tonight the hard way. And I'm taking notes because I'm pretty sure this is going to be the same weather we have next week when we're here in a truck. And right there, I just scared Kevin away.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the nightmare. Yeah.
That's one.
No, I love these flat tracks. I love Milwaukee. I love New Hampshire. I love this racetrack. These flat tracks where you have to really get the car down into the corner and get it to rotate. One of my favorite things in the sim. You ain't scared me.
So
Jeff Coleman out there running in 17th right now. Two repairs, lengthy repairs, and then a couple other, and that Camaro is back under pace here.
Let's see if we can. I want to get some information here. I want to see if I can pull up. I'm going to bring Pedro up here, and because he might be the one to talk to here about this. So, all right, Pedro, you got a copy, bud?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, man, I kind of want to bring you up here because you've got the knowledge and stuff of this kind of thing with the car and the track, and wanted to get your thoughts here. What are we seeing that could be causing it? Because it seems like that wreck there was somebody going to third gear in 3 and 4, and the car just got loose on him. Is that just the conditions you guys are racing? Is it the new car with an older track surface? What's causing the issues?
I think it's just a setup. We were actually talking about that. We're thinking possibly the setup wasn't updated with the new aero package that's been put on the Cup car, and so you don't have as much downforce, but the car's set up like if we had more downforce. So it definitely drives like that. You can't charge the corner. You can't really charge the exit. It feels like you're on top of the track. So just on ice the whole time, so you got to be really careful with every input you do.
All right, man. Well, I see you're going green, so I'll leave you alone and let you get back to it. Good luck.
All right, thanks.
I appreciate Pedro for the insight there. That makes a little sense.
Yeah, we heard Tyler Dalton talking to his crew chief earlier in the night saying the same thing, that it's felt like the setup and the conditions were not matched, and everybody did talk about how skatey the car was, and, well, we're starting to see it firsthand. I still think that we're going to settle this thing out, and every single time that happens, the ripple goes through the radios, and the drivers learn what happened, and, well, they'll do their best to avoid the same calamity. As the 93 got a terrible start on the inside lane, and that's going to hold Pedro up.
It's going to allow Donnie Lee to climb the outside. I wonder if Kevin was in the wrong gear. So Jason Atomic Burrito, who's the actual spotter for Wesley, pretty much explained what we did. He said when he shifted, it got a bit loose, and then it just took a right into the wall. Just unfortunate situation there. So, yeah, I all this makes sense, what everybody's thinking and stuff. And unfortunately, here's the best part about it for those who aren't happy with it. You have 31 other cars out here with the same setup.
Right.
Well,
and if you just go a little bit conservative, let things settle out, you might have the race come to you, right? It's going to reward some of those drivers who are not hard chargers.
It's funny, I did jokingly say in the team name channel when I was down there checking on them a little bit ago, I said, good win, Wortman.
There you go.
I say that jokingly, obviously, but hey, you never know. But, I really do believe what you're saying, though, about the green flag run. I think this is a type of league that is smart enough to know, all right, I've got to back off. And Robert Furry's in the outside wall as I'm trying to give good positivity again. So
I know. We got to stop saying
I'm just done being positive. I'm positive. I'm done being positive.
Positive Patty. I see the 81 on pit road here. Josh Parker.
Wonder if that's a penalty or something, maybe. As we watch David Comstock here, the Charlotte winner inside Eric Arnold. The reciprocals battling each other, 13-31. Roll right across that white line, which is the preferred groove, but you can get the top side to work for you, as Eric Arnold's going to use a draft to Jatina down the front straightaway, or should be able to clear him. Just don't run over Joey. Very easy to do when you're side by side with somebody. You want to kind of send it in there to clear the position, but then you got to worry about the guy in front of you.
Yeah, that might be under review for Josh Parker's. I think he possibly got a penalty for passing the 3.
Oh, on the restart? Oh,
On
Eric
the
Arnold locks
restart.
it up. You can see the smoke off his front end. Great job keeping it off of Joey, and that's going to allow Comstock to go by. Eric
And I'm
flips
not
it up.
sure that the 3 didn't miss a gear to finish the exclamation point there. So, but he's forced to serve that penalty and had to go to pit road for a stop and go, is my guess.
Probably a 40-second hold or something like that. It's usually
Yeah,
a pretty good
right.
hold.
Yep.
So how about this comeback? Nelson Rivera. Remember the first caution earlier, the whoopsies into turn 3. Well, he's whoopsied himself back up to 11th. Inside is Scott Stenzel here behind Eric Arnold. It's a good thing about this car. It is a toughie.
30. We got 100 laps to go, thereabouts. So there's plenty of time to make some progress in this race.
Tyler Dalton dives it in there on Randy Yoakum. Yoakum goes in there shallow. They're going to lean on each other a little bit. Well,
Randy had a great race last night. Looked
Yes, he
really
did.
good.
Yeah, he did. Top 10, I believe we talked about.
And Cal and Tony won a race this week or last week.
Oh,
First one. So Anthony showing a little speed here as the season progresses.
I knew that time would come. He's definitely, if he could put some consistent finishes together, Cal and Tony could be something.
Yeah. I think his mother already thinks he is something.
Oh,
but
well,
that's
well,
just
Won't go any further on that one.
How about Richard Beasley just quietly running back there, 16th place? This is his type of racetrack. If we get a long green flag run, one by one, he'll pick them off, and you'll see the Tide ride somewhere up in the top 10 by the time this thing is.
So just to kind of update where we are now with the cautions and things, I haven't talked about it too much, but we've had some cars come to pit road. Nelson Rivera hasn't pitted since that first caution he was in. Randy Yoakum pitted at lap 10. Let's see, Chad Coleman, I think, pitted at the caution he was involved in. Tyler Dalton came to pit road at the last caution, and looks like he might have taken a set of tires. I'm not sure, but he was on pit road for 14 seconds. Beasley, Montesi, Ryan, Van Schaik, Holyfield, Simley, Sigmund, and Wortman have all pitted. Wortman's pitted about 165 times already. Sarcasm, he's pitted 8.
Yeah.
But that's Wortman's
I
top
think
of his
if you'd
tank.
have called Donnie Leah prior to the start of this race and said, yeah, you're going to have the pole, and you're going to lead the first 43 laps, he would have probably said, ain't no way.
Well, he said that when I made the modified joke to him.
Yeah, but he is checked out right now. He's in Pedro mode. He's got quite a advantage over these guys, and just smooth as glass as it goes.
You know what he's doing? He's driving straight off, which is the way you counter a loose racetrack. Now, I said earlier, these two lines you see in the turn 1 and 2, that is the groove here at Gateway, right there. If you can get in between those two lines right there, for some reason you get the
landing strip, right?
Yeah, you get the best grip coming off too. And Donnie's been above that a little bit, and then he watch him enter 3 here. He'll enter the corner at the bottom. He's going to let her slide. The diamond.
I'm in the corner.
Yep, and then bring it back down to the line, and it allows him to straighten the corner off.
The other thing he does, if you look right to the right where there's some tire marks before
Right
the
to the
Geico
right.
sign, you point the car coming off turn 4 to those tire marks.
Mm-hmm.
You don't physically turn it left, you turn it right, and you head for that spot. And then as soon as you get there, automatically on both corners, the car will straighten up and, align parallel to the wall, and you'll get the drive off the corner. And you can see that he's got that on lock right now. Drifts way up high, comes down, straightens a corner out, points it towards that mark, and then as soon as he gets to the mark, he's straight, and even with the Geico sign, a lot of speed going down the straightaway.
So Leah leads as we watch Tyler Dalton on board him as he looks inside of Scott Stenzel. Yeah, he's almost breaking before the wall, but he's on the inside of a car here. And this is where it
Break
gets
early, drive off.
Yeah, this is the tricky part too, is when you're on the inside of a car, because there's the part of you that wants to get up in that groove that we talked
Yeah.
about, the way to get off, but if the other car doesn't, there's a chance you hit each other. And Tyler
It
stays
is
in fourth gear.
extremely hard to go back to the throttle too when you're on the bottom because the car wants to break loose as soon as you start to give it a little squeeze.
So Dalton's in fourth gear all the way from turn 2 to the front straightaway here.
Usually shift somewhere right about the start-finish line. Getting yourself to fifth allows you to downshift coming into the corner. He's going to complete that pass and take over the 12th position.
As Comstock looks inside of Jatina, battle for the 8th position there. Give it to David as he'll take that spot away. So there's that battle going on. And up here, Doy Woods has lost second and third to Kevin Brown and Pedro Mojica. And now Brian Macklin looks to get around him. Mike Kelly having a great run here in the 6th position.
David Pearson Comstock on the march. Macklin's car looks really not in the racetrack. They talked about how the car floats, and you come off the corner and you just never get that traction. The car will wiggle left, wiggle right, wiggle, and you don't dare let out of it because as soon as you do, you're going to lose it. So you're riding just sloppy all the way up off the corner. His car looks terrible coming up off.
You know, I think I found somebody who is third gearing through the corner, because if you watched very closely, I was looking at cameras on Doy Woods, and I saw a flash of raw fuel come out of his car at about the 3/4 mark of turn 4, which tells me he's probably in third gear. So let's go on board with him real quick and let's see here. He's 5th gear up the back, down to 4th. There's the engine brake, and right down to 3rd. So he is one of those trying that 3rd gear, which is interesting because if you saw on entry in 03, that car danced a little bit. I'm not the biggest fan, and you know what? Correct me if I'm wrong, Kev. Last night when you were coming to pit road and you had your incident that happened.
Yes.
Were you
hit that downshift and,
did you engine brake into 3 or trying to get to pit road?
Yeah.
So I've never been a fan of engine braking on iRacing. And I say that because that's just my comfort of driving. Like, if you ever watch me at a super speedway, I will not shift to 2nd gear on pit road until I'm, like, at pit road speed. I will literally keep it in 4th the whole time and just use my foot to brake. Because,
not that I want to relive the moment, but
I'm sorry.
I was in the rearview mirror looking at Jimmy Coleman trying to make sure that he understood I was getting the call to pit, but yet he just kept coming, and I was right on the white line, more speed. And then I realized I was going to be too fast, and when I downshifted, the thing just yawed to the left and nosed it into the wall. So that's not too dissimilar of what we saw earlier with the 91 on track. Same kind of scenario.
Are we having server issues here? My computer's going bonkers right now on the race.
I'm looking solid on my side. So
okay, maybe it's me. I
we
don't
do
know.
have storms passing over here in the northeast for us.
I'm just checking to make sure it's not an internet thing on my end. My stream looks okay. But everybody's blinking. We got Christmas trees on the track.
3-second lead for Donnie Leah. I mean, he has checked out over these guys. I'm astonished, but we're in that green flag look.
We'll work
Let's see. When do we go back? On lap 34. We're working 52, so...
Well, just bear with me. Apologies for the inconvenience. Said that too, but the technical issues or whatever's going on here, hopefully it'll settle itself down. This is a rare occurrence on my end. But either way, yeah, you mentioned a green flag run here so far. We're about 20 laps into it. And with the cars that have stayed out, we're about probably 30 laps, I would say, from pit stops. But needless to say, Donnie Leah, he's driven off. He's actually in St. Louis right now. Kevin Brown, Pedro Mojica, Doy Woods, Brian Macklin, your top 5.
We lost Tyler Dalton here.
I wonder if something's going on then. Connection issue. See, there must be something happening. But the thing is, though, it doesn't look like anybody else is having that issue. Maybe it's a southeast thing.
South Carolina last night. I'm not sure if they had storms or something like that, but he had 2 or 3 tense moments in last night's race, and now I see he's 2 laps down out of the server at this point. So
he's actually leaving pit road right now, I think.
Yeah, I think he just came back in, and unfortunately for him, he's going to be and also ran here, which is such a shame because he had a pretty strong and decent run going.
Now, Spartanburg, South Carolina, actually is about 2 hours, I think, from where I'm at, in Georgia. And yes, we did have some, not severe storms, but we did have some rain and weather come through last night as part of that front that you're getting up there. Not sure if it played any kind of role or whatnot in this situation, but
I think we also lost Randy Yoakum in exchange.
I did see Yoakum come to pit road a little bit ago.
Yeah.
So Yoakum came to pit road, so his issue I think is a little different.
A bunch of drivers having problems. Stout drivers. Josh Parker down 1 lap. Dalton down 2. Jimmy Coleman down 8. Gonzalez did recover, came back out. He's running 8. Now, we talked about Jose, if car fixed and come back out. Behind him, Yoakum, Donaldson, O'Rourke, Fowler, and Benfield. So even though he's 8 laps down, Jose has picked up a number of positions here just by coming back out and running the rest of the laps.
With the attrition rate, yeah, definitely. As Mojica has gone by Kevin Brown here at lap 57. Let's actually step away and hear from our sponsors, 811, as you're watching the Sim500 Cup Series from Gateway on the Captain Esports Network.
If recent storms have caused damage to your property, contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere, and knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on nc811.org or the NC811 app.
Back we are with Pedro Mojica on board. See, he's gone by Kevin DeBrown. Actually had a quick minute to go check and see if there was a issue with the stream, but it looks like it only affected one person. Unfortunately, Tyler Dalton, who is now just ran the fastest lap of the race, believe it or not, but he is 2 laps down in that 19 car. But if he can be patient here, you never know what could happen in this race, and he could get himself back on the lead lap here. The cars are pretty spread out here as you're watching Sim500 and the NC811.org Cup Series here from the Gateway or Worldwide Technology Raceway just outside St. Louis. Round 15 of the Cup Series out of 36 races. Donnie Lee has led pretty much every lap so far tonight.
It may have taken 40 to 50 laps for these drivers to settle in, but right now I think they're at that point where they're racing the racetrack. Leah out front by about 3.5, 4 seconds over Pedro Mojica, Kevin DeBrown, Toy Woods, Brian Macklin round out your top 5. Comstock has come to 6. Mike Kelly stepped back a little bit. He's still hanging in the top 10, running 7th. Calantoni in 8th. Nelson Rivera, good recovery, as you were talking about earlier. Joey Chatina holding down 10th. Eric Arnold, Scott Stenzel just kind of pacing themselves back there, 11th and 12th respectively. Mike Montesi quietly sitting in the 13th spot. Charles Van Schaik, Chad Coleman running 15th, and we'll see if maybe some late race strategies can get Chad Coleman back up there. I have to wonder, Chris, how much damage he has from that incident earlier and whether his car has good performance, but right now it's doing okay hanging in there in the lead lap draft.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. Now, last night we watched E.J. O'Rourke win a race with a little bit of nose damage from an incident, so who knows how bad the damage is and that kind of effect. Hopefully it's not hurting his speed or whatever, but one thing I am noticing, though, is that Pedro Mojica is starting to slowly chip into that 3.4 second lead of Donnie Leah, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that here as we get going. We're about probably, I'm just kind of guesstimating here, that you can go about 75 to 80 laps on a tank of fuel. We throw in the caution laps that we just had. I'm guessing about 20 laps is when you're going to see these cars come to pit road, and that might be the only time you see them unless another caution comes out. So, but very interesting strategy coming into play here. Let's go back to 13th. Scott Stenzel, Mike Montesi, Charles Van Schaik all in this battle. Chad Coleman kind of watching along here, but a couple cars here that have had some issues. Similar paint schemes too, oh, by the way.
Yes. You know, if we get the calculator out and think about the way that they could have sliced this race. They went back to green with about 100 laps to go. with 4 sets of tires, they could have split it into 3 pit stops or 2. Chances are, given what we're seeing, it's going to be 2. So drivers would go 50.
Right.
That you will. I
Sorry.
got it. And yeah, that's the musical. Well, okay. So to finish the thought, yeah, I think they're going to go about 50 and split the difference. Somebody might short pit and see what they get. And let's talk about the dynamic from last week. Remember, one driver pitted early, and we had talked about whether that would bite them in the end, but we ended up having a late race caution, and from the time that they drove through, they made up quite a bit of ground with the fresh tires, and then the timing of a late race caution put them right in the mix with some track position. So be interesting to see who and when they start to duck off to go to pit road. And of course, have to remember how complicated it is to get off of this racetrack, navigate that entry road, and specifically that entry right in where you cross the line to get to the pit stall is just impossible to get through.
Well, you kind of mentioned it under caution that there were some issues with Scott Simley, and we can actually go back here as soon as I find the replay here real quickly, and we'll give you a good simulation of what this pit road is, because you do got to enter over in turn 3, and you exit over in turn 2. So let's see. I think this is the replay. No, let's back it up a little bit here. But Scott Simley, sorry to use him as an example here, but Scott Simley had some issues. Well, maybe not, but we're going to use him right here as this is the right way to do it. So you're up to speed, and you got to slow it down. Now, there's no speed limit right here, but there's no banking, and it's a very tight radius right here. So you've got to turn, and then you have to be at, I think it's 40 miles an hour, about right that line right there. And then you are coasting the whole way down. This is a long pit road, narrow but long. And the good thing about this pit road is this staircase that he's coming up on. For some reason iRacing didn't remove it. It is invisible.
I always wondered if you could hit that.
I've
Never
actually went purposely and seen if you could, and you didn't.
Okay. Mystery solved. But, you know, when you watch that shot, one of the interesting things to pick up on is it's radius, 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 radius. And then when you get to the actual entrance, it makes like almost a 60-degree turn, and then it's straight. It's very strange because you're in a curve, you're in a curve, you're in a curve, and then you really have to crank the wheel to the left in order to get parallel with the inside wall on the entry.
Yeah, it's almost like somebody realized, oh, wait, I need to turn this car more.
Yeah. And if you're not paying attention, again, the unfamiliarity racing a track that you don't run very often, you tend to forget because you're trying to get as much goodie as you can on the speed of that flat road. And then, you know, you play it all over again. Coming off of pit road, it's just as bad.
Jeff Ryan on pit road right now in the 3 car. Not sure if that's a scheduled pit stop here as we ride with Comstock up to 5th. As he rides right here behind Doy Woods, very patient on throttle. Lap time's fallen off about a second and a half, second and a third or so. So we are seeing the tire wear.
And something a little odd happened there because you saw Pedro closing in. He was about 3.4 seconds or so. Now all of a sudden, either Donnie turned up the wick or something happened in one of the corners that Mojica lost a little time because it's 3.87 back. I wonder if he got off the corner and maybe brushed a wall somewhere in the 58.
That is a great question, and I don't have the exact answer, obviously, but I think I know when this happened because I happened to look up at timing and scoring and saw that number climb really quickly, and it was actually the last lap. So I want to go back to, let's go lap 68 here really quickly. And let's go to Pedro Mojica in the, I want to go back to turn 4 here because I think it was right here where I cut the camera to him.
Maybe he just had to lift coming up out of the corner, the car push coming out.
Now, I could be way off on this, but this is where I noticed his time was climbing a lot.
Yeah, he's way late on the exit there because he got to the wall before that mark that we were talking about. And my guess is he had to breathe the throttle, but could be wrong. We could check with him later, chat with him.
I know one thing. I just heard his engine screaming into turn 1.
Well, now it's a clear 4 seconds. So
Maybe Donnie
the
just,
other thing,
yeah, who knows?
yeah, he's in Caddyshack mode on that 29 car.
Snake up the show.
No, 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 no. He's just in the zone.
Pit stops here. Chad Coleman, Scott Stenzel going to come in. So here we go. This is right at the mark that you could probably go on if this race didn't have the cautions on fuel here. So here comes the Jim Beam number 38 new paint scheme for Mr. Coleman. I joked with the guys in team name. I said, hey, one should run Jim, one should run Jose, one should run Johnny and Jack, and then you have all 4 horsemen in the team.
4 tires and fuel, of course, going to be the call here.
Coleman overshot his pit stall a little bit. That allowed Stenzel to get in here, but here's where you got to sort it out. You got to be single file coming off pit road because of the exit is, well, much like the entrance.
So you try and get all you can here. You're going to run the car right grass, but not hopefully slip out to the grass. They were rather conservative. Then you straighten the car out, make sure you cross the line there correctly, and hammer down to the backstretch, and it's going to feel great with 4 fresh tires.
We'll see how they get up to speed here, and they got to be careful because the car's obviously going to be loose again with the tire pressures. But 74 laps in the books now.
Speaking of Leah on entry to turn number 3, he's down below the white line on entry, clipping the apron almost to the rumble strips as he comes into the corner, just trying to diamond the corner as best he can here. And he's got cars out as windshield. He's looking at a couple cars in the 74, the 04, the 12 out in front of him. So you have to wonder if he's going to get to those back markers before he starts to pit.
Oh, Donnie Leah, whoa! He about spun the car out, or not Donnie Leah, but Doy Woods, I'm sorry. I think he had the shifting issue there. He downshifted way too quick, and that 28 car about went for the wall in turn 1. I'll have to show that here in a second, but he lost a lot of time, and Macklin got to his outside as Kevin DeBrown's going to come to pit road. So the first of the leaders coming in. Let me go back. I looked up. I was actually looking at something on my phone for a split second, and I saw the 28 car smoking and everything going into turn 1 here. Let's... Of course, I didn't go back far enough.
Yeah, a little bit further here.
See if this is the lap right here. There's the short shift up to 4th. It was not that lap, but I do know when it happened, so let's hear what I'll do is let's just go up to as Kevin Brown leaves the pits.
4 tires and fuel clean. Pit stop, got in well, got out well. Let's see how his exit is.
Thanks for explaining that. I'm just going to back it up manually here and show you the replay of turn 3 and 4, or turn 1 and 2 where Doy, where it about all ended for him. He was on the inside here, David Comstock. Watch right here. Yikes! And you see the smoke off his car.
Yeah, good situational awareness from everybody around him, just seeing his difficulties. And, you know, you have that clue where you're watching everybody go down into the corner. You know exactly what it looks like after 60 laps or so. And when somebody's off trajectory, you pick up on it almost immediately.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't even one of those things of he over-revved the car going to the corner. It just almost came around on him with the revs matching up. And you got to think of, if you're a road racer, for example, think of when you're driving a GT3 car or you're driving maybe an LMP1 or something like that, and you downshift too quickly and the car's back end wants to get wiggly and spin around on you. Same thing right here. That's happening. So the leader, while all this was going on, is on pit road right now. If I could find him on my
telemetry. Actually cleared it and is back out to speed, and that's going to hand over the lead to Pedro.
So Pedro takes the lead, 15:08 for Donnie Leah. He did get out before Kevin DeBrown did. So now Mojica, you might see him run this stint long. maybe have the fresher tires here to use against Donnie, or to get the yellow, which the Trapolani's guys won, if not 2 laps down.
So Kevin Brown, he pitted lap 76. Leah went in on 77, as did Ron Hollifield and Montesi. Now we have Beasley on pit road, just cleared. Calantoni, lap 78 also.
Doy Woods is in, as mentioned, in the 28 car. Here he comes for 4 tires and fuel. Issues for Mike Montesi. He's dancing over here in turn 2 in the grass. Not sure if he had issues getting off of pit road, as Doy Woods leaves his pit stop after a 15-2.
He just missed the entry of the corner for some reason. He got down too slow, and it drug him down to the... Yeah, he got loose in the center of the corner and did a little agricultural racing over turn 2.
Okay.
He was down low enough, though, that he actually went down below the blue cone, but didn't bring a caution because he was off the racetrack and kept it.
Montesi had just come off pit road, so you wonder if the car was loose, obviously with the new tires. Here comes Brian Macklin to pit road now. Yeah, he pitted about 6 laps ago, so the car should be back under him now. Charles Van Schaik to pit road. As we're at 54 laps to go.
A little bit early for a split, but not a surprise when some of these drivers see the guys go in and get fresh tires. They know that they're going to have a lot more speed. The longer you stay out, the harder it is to chase them down.
Macklin overshot his stall just a slight amount. And here comes your Charlotte winner, David Comstock. The money man, if you will. Won both money races so far in the Cup side this season, which at least puts him on track for 4 wins. All 4 money events.
Called $1 million bill by the end of it.
$1 million Dave or $50.
$200 bill. Something.
That's funny. So Pedro, so that leaves right now the cars left to pit: Pedro Mojica, Nelson Rivera, Eric Arnold, Scott Simley, Brian Wortman, Doug Sigmund, and Josh Parker. The only ones who are still on track, sorry, Jose Gonzalez, Tyler Dalton. The only cars that have not pitted under this stint. You could almost put an asterisk next to Tyler Dalton, because he, I think, pitted, or at least got tires and stuff when, as Pedro's coming to pit road now, when he came back into server. So I'm not sure of how that all works out. I've never really paid attention to when you blink out and come back into a session. Do you get new tires and fuel?
New tires. That's
it does.
Correct.
So obviously he made his pit stop in a very weird way, we'll call it.
Well, he's 1 lap down. First one lap down. And, you know, the old joke, he's throwing roll-bar pad and
water bottles,
whatever he can find out the window, because he would love to get that wave around and put himself back into contention. 4 tires and fuel going on the trans service. Camaro down and away. Pedro, good clean stop.
And Nelson Rivera coming to pit road now. So you mentioned Pedro, 15:07. And let's see where he comes out on track here, how far back he's going to be. He's going to come out right with Doy Woods and with Comstock. So he's pretty much going to maintain his track position, just a matter of the time. Oh, and Pedro locks it up into 3 there, almost got into Doy. Doy gave him plenty of room, thankfully. As Eric Arnold leads now, as Rivera's on pit road. So for Pedro, how about this of a difference on tires? So Donnie Leah pits at lap 77. And then Mojica at lap 84. 7 laps of a difference. That's going to come down to be about a 16-second separation now between Pedro and Donnie Leah.
Yeah, and if I'm Pedro, I have a mission right now. I want to get around this 28 car because it's holding me up. I need the clean air. I need to get clear. I need to chase down the 29 if I can get to it. And worst case scenario is he's trapped here trying to futz around that number 28. He's going to give him maybe a little tap on the entry into turn number 1, dive down low, try to draw alongside, put a little air on that spoiler, see if he can drag him back, as Pedro knows his number one mission is he's got to get clear of this 28 car if he has.
Now, the one
chance
thing
to run that
I
29
do,
down.
I do have to correct myself because I don't know how to do math. Mojica is only 14 seconds back of Donnie, not 18. So a little 4-second difference there. But Donnie Leah does have an 8.5 second lead as Pedro did clear Doy Woods for position. So did David Comstock. Well, 8.1 second lead over Kevin DeBrown. Mike Kelly's third now, 9.3 seconds back. And those guys all pitted 75, 76, 77. Scott Simley's in fourth right now, and he is just hoping for a caution. It's what he needs right now. And he runs fourth because he's got a pit still. And then it's the guys that pitted at lap 79 or later behind him.
$35.251 was Donnie Leah's lap time. If you look back at Pedro, it's 34.970. So
Not 2/10.
yeah, that
You're going to
I
need more
don't
help.
know is going to be enough for him. But if I'm Pedro, I am putting the coals to it here.
Now, in fairness, I think last lap was when he passed Doy Woods. So we'll see how much of a difference that makes here. Track temp down to 117 as of right now. Donnie is in turn 1 already. Now 35.03 for him as Pedro crosses the line. 34.84, so 2/10. So not really a difference.
Lap 90, Scott Simley to pit road in 12. I'm going to take the voodoo doll that I have in my hand, and I'm going to see
Ow!
it while I say this. Did I not predict a green flag?
Ow! Why are you poking me?
Oh. I just felt like it was going to be the case.
Hey, I am
Green flag run, and I have to wonder whether or not I get that late race caution, and if it does, boy, that's going to change everything.
You have
That'll
every right to pat yourself on the back. There's nothing wrong with that. I will happily say that I took the sarcasm to thinking, yeah, I don't know what you're thinking right now, but
yeah.
I'm wrong. I'm happily to admit
That's
I'm wrong.
okay.
So I'm humble enough to say on live TV in front of, well, I'm not worried about how many viewers we have. I was wrong.
But that Busch Light Ford is just on rails. What a run Donnie's having.
Yeah,
And,
Donnie.
you know, I have to say, and you know, it could be completely talking out of my posterior here, but when you have somebody like Donnie Leah, who's been in a real race car and has the discipline to put in consistent laps over and over and over again, I have to believe that experience, putting the wheel right, getting the squeeze of the throttle in, hitting that brake just the right way and all of that pays off in discipline. And this type of racetrack, technical as it is, pays off for someone who has the discipline. That's why a Pedro Mojica is great. That's why Daniel Falkingham was amazing. He never put a wheel off last season and ended up with a championship for it. So it's great to watch people and admire how good they are in this type of run.
What did I just watch as you were going here, say what you were saying there about how these guys are racing? The battle between Callan Tony and Chad Coleman has become awesome. Basically, Callan Tony made the pass in turn 1 as they were passing Josh Parker. Coleman crosses him over into turn 3, and they were side by side. Callan Tony's been able to hold the position ever since then, but that was a very good battle right there. And we got a battle for second shaping up. Kevin DeBrown has been caught by Mike Kelly as Mojica is up to third, and he has knocked 2 seconds off Donnie Leah's pace, by the way. I don't know where all of a sudden that's come from.
I know where it came from. Donnie Leah missed the corner. I was just bragging on him, and he missed the corner in 1 and 2, and totally let the car drift up and had to catch it. And before he could get back into throttle, he gave away a little squeeze.
Do appreciate those who have stayed around and watched what has been a pretty good race now after a little bit of caution at the beginning. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button as always. And we appreciate those who hang out and watch some great racing here from, in my opinion, the best Cup Series and Xfinity or Grand National Series you can watch on iRacing. here on the Captain Esports Network on Sunday and Monday nights, right here from Sim500. And after the truck race I ran on Wednesday of last week, I could almost argue the best truck series. Because I've never felt that stumped in my life, but that's a whole nother story for another day. Maybe it was my sheer talent finally coming out. Anyways, as Robert Frary inside of Scott Stenzel. Trust me, this week I will be running laps at Gateway, getting ready for next week.
Yeah, inside of him, and that looked a little close as he drifted up, but he got the car to turn down and drove away from him.
Surprised Ferrary's car is not a little tighter than it should be. That right front's out in the air a little bit.
Yeah, he's
Jose
running...
Gonzalez with some issues. Looking for Jose.
In the grass.
He is in the grass over here, having some issues. I think he was trying to get to pit road. And here he comes in, so I wonder if he'll get an unsafe entrance for that.
Right. Yeah, just missed it. I mean, he didn't miss it by a little.
Jose not having a good night. He was up in the top 5 and unfortunately had a little contact with Kevin DeBrown, and he beelined it right into the wall, and, well, the Smashburger car got all smashed up. Back to second, Mike Kelly underneath Kevin DeBrown. And Pedro's got it down to 10.4 seconds now.
This would be one of those good match races to see these two. They have such a similar, I want to say, personality or persona in the way that they attack their races, and they've been known to irritate a lot of different people. But how about irritating each other here as we battle who's gonna come home with second tonight?
The problem is if they don't figure it out real quickly, there's a yellow car coming behind them.
Yeah.
That might figure it out for them. It's one of those, all right, you two need to figure out this argument or I'm going to make a decision myself. Pedro sends it there, 4-wheel slide into turn 3. You can hear the wheels on the stream. Yeah, that hurt him, actually. You can hear him, literally. You can hear the skirt across the corner as Josh Parker is going to take his car behind the wall.
Yeah, no prisoners for Pedro at this point, right? He's got the freshest.
He's got no choice.
He's just got to hammer down, and you know, if they get a caution, then maybe that resets everything. But for him, he certainly was in second and deserves to be second, and I'm sure he'll take nothing more than being second, or he'll be disappointed with that.
Now, believe it or not, with that 4-wheel drift he did in 3 and 4, he matched lap times with Donnie Leah.
So Leah is out now by 9.8 seconds, almost 10 seconds over Kevin DeBrown and Mike Kelly. And second, third, and fourth is heating up as now it is a 3-car battle. Pedro is to the back bumper of the 2 of Mike Kelly here as we're working lap 101 of, how many laps are we going tonight?
136. 170 miles,
so.
Yep. Pedro climbs up to the top here as you see Kevin go to the bottom. Kelly goes back up. Pedro crosses him back. Almost a diamond to get underneath Kelly here. Here's where you got to be careful. Don't send it in too deep because Kevin's in front of you. Both of them well done, well disciplined there entering the corner. Pedro gets in very shallow. Gonna have a very tight turn 2 here.
He's going to drive it off, get alongside of him, maybe make a little contact. Kelly gets sideways, but able to carry the throttle to the outside.
That right there is the first example I can bring up where I talk about that radius of 1 and 2 being on the bottom. Because Mojica had to get out of the gas or else he would have plowed Mike Kelly. But this time he just rotates right by him. Wow.
And you know, there's one characteristic. This track, like Darlington, is a bit egg-shaped. It's really narrow down in 1 and 2, a little bit wider sweeping turn in 3 and 4. And down in 1 and 2 is not where you want to pinch the car on the bottom. You really want to let it eat over there in 3 and 4 if you can. And he's got a good run now. He's going to draw alongside Kevin DeBrown as Kelly was able to get by. And now Mojica is going to take over third.
That's actually second there. He's getting by with Kevin. But needless to say...
I'm sorry. No, you see the green car in front of him got confuzzled.
It happens. Hey,
that's on Hollifield he's going by.
Now, the interesting thing about that, Kev, is as you bring up that topic, I really don't know. Oh, Kevin! Into the outside wall!
Wow.
He had the third gear issue happen. It looked like downshift too quick, back end came around.
Sorry, I just had to add that sound effect.
He almost got Holyfield cleared out. And that allowed David Comstock to go by, but once again, third gear bites Kevin. In this case, let's real quickly here into turn 1. You just see the car just jolt sideways.
I wonder if that was like a momentary decision on something that went amiss.
Now, the way it looks like a third
And I
gear
agree
deal.
with you. It did look like a shift issue.
And I say that only because of if a car gets sideways like that on the straightaway, it's either because you have too much rear brake or you downshifted too quick. And let's see. So that's Comstock. Here's Kevin, pegs it, fourth gear, goes down to third at 8,500.
Wow. Ron Holyfield should rub the Buddha or something after that one, because he almost got cleaned out.
Well, you said something about the posterior earlier, so maybe that explains it. But
Yeah.
so now it's Pedro, and he's got 30 laps to make up 10 seconds. So let's see, do the man. Means he's got to make a third of a second up every lap.
Donnie Leah crossing the line right now. And if we follow Pedro's progress, he's going to cross the line right now. That is a lot of racetrack. Donnie's on the backstretch, and Mojica's just entering turn number 1. So
Great job.
he's going to have to just be on kill in order to catch him in the final.
Great job by Jeff Ryan to be aware of Pedro there.
Yeah.
But where I've noticed Pedro strong at is 3 and 4. He had a good 1 and 2 right there. But he's been able to Bob Ross this white line almost a little bit here. And look, now it's under 10 seconds. If you look at the ticker up there to the left.
I see what you did there.
Thank you. That was a Comstock term. I got to give him credit. Robert Ferrari having a good comeback here as he is up here to battle Chad Coleman. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Was it not Ferrari that got into Chad Coleman?
He might, Rabbit. He might, yeah. You know, I kind of lost track. Like, where is everyone? If we go look at the lineup, of course, Leah and Mojica are out front. Comstock has come to third.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Up
Comstock.
22 from his original starting spot. Kelly to Brown, Woods. Macklin kind of faded a little bit. He was running up there with leaders in the early going. He's dropped to 7th. Calantoni 8th. Coleman has come to 9th after the incident early, and Friary, as you see, is pounding him. Right there in 10th, Joey Jatina, still sitting right there outside the top 10, running 11th. Van Schaik, Rivera, Stenzel, Arnold, Montesi, Jeff Ryan, Holyfield, and Scott Simley are your lead lap cars, and still begging for some piece of caution, some piece of debris, is Tyler Dalton running 20th. Everybody's got a set of tires left, right?
I believe so. Tyler would be the only... Yeah, no, everybody should have a set of tires with this long green flag run.
Wortman's in 21st, 1 lap down, so those are the two in contention for a lucky dog should we have an incident. And certainly, Tyler doesn't want to be the caution here at the 77. Wow. Both of them going to go into the wall there.
Once again, we had alcohol violence once again. This was remember, the combo, actually, because it was the Jim Beam car getting hit by the Miller lookalike car with the Heineken car. Now we've got Jim Beam and Miller getting mixed together here, potentially. And yes, it is Ferrari custom carpentry, but it's the Rusty Wallace looking paint scheme.
If I'm Coleman, I'm going to have some words about that. That was just one of those situations where you ran me up the racetrack.
After you've wrecked me in the same corner.
I would not be very happy with it. It's almost like the 77 didn't turn in. I mean, not to be judgmental. I mean,
right.
you know, for Robert, what he was trying to do is get that run and capitalize on it. He was able to draw alongside. He was going to do all he could, and he might have just misjudged the entry, but took them both to the fence. Could have been a little more severe than that. Now he's still hounding him because, of course, what are you going to do? You're going to chase that position no matter what the situation was. But if I'm Chad, I'm going to have a couple words. Is now he's going to draw alongside of him one more time.
You want outside, Chad's going to roll him here.
This time.
Chad's
a
gonna give him the
little more
room, but here he
decorum.
goes up the track again.
Yeah, but the 38 was out there, so this kid, the 70 faster, I think the 38 just decided I better let him go.
So Robert takes the 9th position here. Coleman back to 10th. And what has been a 70 lap green flag run I think we're at now?
I'd be the first one to admit, every once in a while, we tell how something happens by the way we see it, and we could be completely wrong.
Oh, absolutely. And that's
Those who were in the car, but I mean, you could just see that the 77 was catching the 38, got down underneath them, and narrative would say that in the most common way.
Oh, wait a minute here. Sorry to
Okay.
cut you off. We got Jose and Kevin DeBrown. And remember the contact early in this race. And I just watched what looked like Jose might have been brake checking Kevin a little bit in 3.
Yeah, you know, boys will be boys, and they've been given a little bit of leeway this season to say, okay, go settle your score if you have to, just don't screw up a race. So, is this a little Ross Chastain? Go back to Gateway last year, and Denny and.
Well, last
Wouldn't
night
that
there were
be
some
fun?
issues in the Xfinity or in the Grand National race with Kevin and Tyler Dalton. And now Jose pulls down. Let's see.
Yeah, go ahead, go on outside of me. Yeah. Okay.
I think Kevin's being hesitant here.
That is really interesting. Yeah, ultimately, that allows Doy Woods sitting right there to possibly have an opportunity, but the two behind them, Woods and Macklin, are kind of like, I'm not sure how this is going to play out.
Oh, Kevin gets loose now. And I'm looking over at tires real quickly here. Jose pitted at 88, Kevin at 70. Well, you know what? Jose's got fresher tires, so he might have passed Kevin. But now Doy Woods goes by, and here comes Brian Macklin to the inside. So Kevin's going to lose a couple positions here.
Macklin's car still wiggles up off the corner all the time, but just keeps charging forward.
But no, going back to what you said, you're spot on. It's one of those deals where we're sitting there calling a race, and we don't have, I mean, you might, I can't because of the stream, have audio of the drivers. So I have to sit back and just kind of guess and go off what I'm seeing. There could be just a simple incident happening or teamwork or something going on when something takes place, and I don't know about it. So it's a very tough thing sometimes when you go and you discuss, oh yeah, it looks like you wrecked him. It's like, oh no, actually I got loose in front and downshifted and told him to go by and we misjudged or something. I mean,
yeah, a lot of times what we call comes from just laps, right? We know in this scenario, we were talking about it before, when the driver goes in the corner, I've seen them enter that corner so many times, when they do something different, as a driver, you usually recognize what goes on, and that's what helps us to maybe paint the picture of what's going on. But sometimes when we talk to the drivers, they say, no, that's not really the case, and we're willing to admit that we get it wrong, but most of the time I think we're pretty spot on when we've checked with these guys, and this battle just won't go away. Kevin DeBrown is pounding the back of Jose Gonzalez, trying to get back to see if he can get to Macklin.
I just noticed that. So Jose pulled away, and then when they lost positions, Jose fell back to Kevin again. So there's something going on here.
Yeah, just wonder if he's maybe got a little blocking campaign. You know,
There is a little Denny Hamlin going on right now with Ross Chastain. I think you're spot on with this one now.
here comes Simley into that mix, wondering if he's recognizing what could potentially be going on. As the three of Jeff Ryan goes high and lets these drivers go by, running 17. No reason to tussle with them.
Now, for those wondering why this is happening and why we're just kind of sticking with this, it goes back to lap number 14 in this race when this happened. On a restart, Jose's right there in fourth in front of Kevin. And as they go down to turn one, Kevin's going to get his nose in here. Not sure if it was done on purpose or it wasn't done on purpose, but accidental or misjudgment or whatever. There's contact, and Jose kapows the wall. EJ O'Rourke was also involved in that. Obviously, like I said, wasn't on purpose, but obviously it has irritated one Jose Gonzalez, and here we sit now with Jose playing the role of Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, and if I'm Kevin, I'm just going to do whatever I can to get to the finish. If that means riding behind the 6, well, so be it. As I'm watching our leader, he is sitting behind the 31 of Eric Arnold, and thus far, any car that he's gotten to, they've either pulled out of the way or he's just kind of streamed on by, and he seems to be wedged, stuck in here behind that 31 and unable to clear him. I don't know if he's just decided to ride in his tire tracks because they are of like performance right now, or he just can't simply get his way by as 31 smokes the left front. Donnie going to get right to his back bumper and see if he could turn down underneath him out of 4 and clear him.
Now,
but boy, I'll tell you, that 31 is fighting hard. Now Leah gets down alongside of him.
I will say this, Eric did pass Donnie a little bit ago, and Eric is still on the lead lap, so he has every right to fight right now.
Yeah.
So, and Eric Arnold's going to fight. Now, real quickly, I want to say put an exclamation point or a period on the Kevin DeBrown story, but I don't know if it's going to be over with until the race ends. He does have about 4 seconds back to Calantoni. So there's plenty of room for Kevin to just say, yeah, you can race him this way and just run his own pace and run the next 14 laps and finish 7th.
Yeah, sooner or later he just finds a position and darts on past and drama over, but it's harder than it sounds.
But this goes back to something that I'm going to bring this up because it's not a rant or anything. Tyler Dalton having issues. He just jumped the pit road. Not sure if he had some grass issues or something. But me and some guys on the Front Stretch website discuss this every weekend. When you see the way NASCAR and you use a Chase Elliott accident, for example, how the Cup Series is an example of a trickle-down effect and how it affects other people. So I bring that up, and I bring this up. If Denny Hamlin doesn't do what he did last season at Gateway to Ross Chastain, are we seeing a similar situation that we're seeing right now with Kevin DeBrown and Jose Gonzalez? No, we're not. And this is where I feel that the crowd from the Truck Series, the ARCA Series, and other series, and then going into iRacing, is influenced by the Cup guys. So when you see a race like Coda this year turns into a mess at the end, you see people getting dead righted into the wall in a Cup race. People in iRacing and in other series are like, well, they do it in the Cup Series, why can't I?
Right, yeah.
This right here is an example of it. And
well, it gives you the idea.
It does. It does. And the reason why I bring that up, I will sit here right now and state this on this stream. The Truck Series is no longer a series to develop drivers in. I would much rather put somebody up in the Xfinity Series and let them develop there before going to Cup, a la Ty Gibbs, a la Josh Berry. Just my humble
opinion. I don't know. I think the Truck Series affords the ability, as we're at 10 to go, for drivers to get.
And I say that also from the standpoint
pit stops and at least exposure to some of the tracks in a lower pressure situation. You've got to have your game on to be in an Xfinity car here. As Tyler Dalton dropped from upload of packet loss, so he again is just having connectivity problems down there from Spartanburg. Joey Jettina running 13th, just got lapped a lap or so ago by
Donnie Leo.
And that just shows the torrid pace on a 1.25 mile track that you can lap all the way up to the 13th place car. And Joey certainly is not slow here tonight. Just demonstrates how fast he is as the 3 of Jeff Ryan heads to pit road here late in the going.
Mojica has knocked it down to 7.5 seconds, but unfortunately it's going to be far too late before he gets to the 29. But just to put a period on what I was saying really quickly, Zane Smith, after the Gateway race here last week in the truck race, literally went on social media and said that his worst regret is not, or his worst regret was going to the Truck Series again this season. Because of the way the racing is.
Champion, right? Making that's got to sting a little bit.
That's a bold statement. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, they're going to have people come in and they need to build, and they're going to allow some people that honestly may or may not have the credentials to be there, but they've got the money and they've secured the ride and they need to get their experience somewhere. They probably should have run ARCA, but they came in for the Truck Series. So
right.
I still watch every Friday with complete interest, and same as here, right? There's storylines all the way through the field as Donnie Leah comes off turn 4 and
what you're not seeing is Dory Woods about got wrecked in turn 1 by Macklin. They almost hit each other. Not to cut you off there, but these two here are racing hard.
I wasn't looking at that. I was just trying to make sure that Donnie Leah's clear racetrack. But how cool is this? This always astonishes me that you could run 130 laps, 80 something under caution, and you're coming down to it, and they're running side by side. Almost looked like you locked them up there on entry.
That's that. I think he's just shifting, and it's so you can just see how much on a line they are for shifting or not shifting.
Nervous time for your leader, Donnie Lee. He just has a couple slower cars right in front of him. He has to make and choose whether he wants to try to get around them or whether he's comfortable to ride. They certainly are not pulling over for him. So,
Kevin, let's go back to 7th. Nelson Rivera has caught Kevin DeBrown, and Jose's right in front.
Yeah, I think he's going to have no choice but to press the issue here.
I hate to bring this up because it's like, if Jose's really doing this and stuff, it's like, all right, really? But, you know, another example of this is Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick at Bristol. There's Rivera goes by Kevin for 7th.
That's quite interesting. Is maybe the 22 will open the door for the 3?
I wouldn't do it. I mean, that might have been a brake check right there. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. I don't want to accuse somebody of it, but that looked close. Meanwhile, Donnie Lee up here is taking him to the barn.
Take him to the house.
Now? Very much. He's led every lap but the green flag pit stops.
I have to remember to ask him if he's got any Whalen races set up for this season. I haven't heard anything about that.
I actually asked him off the air, and I remember his answer is he was just waiting for the right opportunity.
I thought
I know they've run some good races this
last
season.
week were pretty respectable last year.
Oh, absolutely. I've seen some pretty good races. I was actually watching a little bit today. I haven't had a chance really to watch much of the modifieds here the last couple of weeks, so I threw on Flow and watched a couple events earlier today. But you would hope to see him get a ride. Let me check back here on the drama. As we're at 2 laps to go, Leah heading down into 3 and 4 right now as he just let
White
Chad
flag
Coleman
in
go by.
here.
White flag, final lap. So a race that we thought might be UGLY was ugly for the first 30 laps. And then credit to Kevin England. He said, I could see this race going green and green flag pit stops happening. Well done, Kevin.
Sun shines on a duck's posterior every once in a while.
Well done, Kevin.
Isn't that how the phrase goes?
In the end, it's going to be an under 7-second win. But Donnie Leah going to bring her through 3 and 4. And he's going to see this Kevin Harvick throwback go to victory lane with Busch Light on the car in its home state. The Gateway goes to Donnie Leah. As Mojica will finish 2nd.
Nice solid run for Pedro again.
David Comstock will finish 3rd. And I'm going to go back here just to make sure nothing happens. As Calantoni has caught Kevin DeBrown, but not going to be enough, as in the end it will be Kevin finishing in the 8th position.
Little theatrics from the 10 across the start-finish line.
That's typical.
Woo!
So
That's
Donnie,
a hold my beer moment.
right? So Donnie Lee are going to celebrate a victory here at the Worldwide Technology Raceway and Gateway. And going to celebrate, with some donuts here. Or not. I can't remember if Donnie's one of those who celebrates or not. He might just actually park it. Yeah, he just parked it.
Just park it. Yeah, no draw from him.
Pedro Mujica, as mentioned, finishes 2nd. David Comstock going to finish 3rd. And we didn't get a chance. Let's real quickly hear from our sponsors, 811. I want to get them another mention in real quickly before we talk to our top 3. So let's check back here, and we'll have our finishing order and interviews of the top 3 coming up on the Captain Esports Network.
If recent storms have caused damage to your property, contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere, and knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on nc811.org or the NC811 app.
All right, back we are here at Gateway as official results will go across the top of the screen. And Kevin, or I should say Kevin, yeah, he's got an interesting stat about Donnie Leah, who crosses the line here first. You were just mentioning about Donnie. What was that stat, Kev?
Yeah, just looking at Donnie's performance this year, he's only been in a handful of races, 6 of them. First 3 races started with top 10s, 4th, 5th, 9th, and then the last 3 not been where he's used to being, outside the top 15, all 3, to come back here this racetrack and score a win against some of the best in the business. Shows that he can get the job done, and every time he shows up, he's certainly got the speed, Chris, and I think he's eligible to get a win, and I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up and knocks a couple more off before we get the championship.
Absolutely. And speaking of guys that are knocking off wins, he knocks off another top 3 finish tonight. 22 spots gained. David Comstock, great job here on a top 3 finish. The money man finishes in 3rd tonight. Another impressive run.
Thanks. Wish qualifying wasn't as impressive as this run. I botched that pretty hard, so we had to come from the back. Who knows? I don't know what the pace that I would have had compared to Donnie or Pedro to keep up with them, but just to be able to just avoid a lot of the mess when you're back there. Oh my God, there's so much stuff going on, and the way this thing drives, it was just you couldn't even turn. They had to slow down so much more than what this car should be capable. And I think the setup might be just a little off or something with what we had. So, new build release stuff.
So talk a little bit about the shifting, because we saw a lot of cars almost in a racing way lose control of their cars entering the corner because you were downshifting the 3rd gear, especially like 1 and 2, and it would cause the back end to get all types of squirrely with the RPMs.
Yeah, so we had a downshift for both ends. At least for me, I was going to 3rd and turn 1, and we're in a sequential. We're not on the H pattern, so if you hit your your sequential too quick, you drop from 5th to 3rd, and at the speed you're going, still you're over revving 3rd gear, which you can't really wheel hop these cars since they're independent rear. But what it does, I guess, is it pulls the transmission into a higher RPM than what the engine's running, and so it kind of locks the rear a bit, and it sends you into a spin, into a slide. And so that's what I've seen a couple of people have happen. I heard that happen to at least one guy that I saw. Ian, I don't know if it was that or if he had computer issues. There's about a mixed bag of things, but yeah, you can definitely do it. I think might have done it once. I didn't get a good downshift one time and about took my teammate Doy out into one. So that was a code brown moment, excuse me. And you know, trying to not take him out and make sure I still made the corner. That you know, it's just the way that this thing drove and what you had to do to get it slow down and how you had to shift and downshift and everything. It's you know, I'm not a fan of this five speed sequential. I just wish that we had, you know, a 4-speed H pattern. I think it eliminates a lot of the you know, the stuff that happens when you're sequentially downshifting and stuff and you get it wrong. But then again, you know, you go from fourth to third and somebody can get it wrong, go to first. So that's probably even worse.
Yeah, you don't want to do that, the old money shift. Well, great job tonight finishing in the third position. Send some shout outs whoever you'd like to.
Yeah, appreciate you guys for broadcasting. Thanks to Sim500 and all the league admins for running everything throughout the week. Got racing 7 nights a week here. Go to sim500.com and sign up and come join the fun. Thanks to NC811.org for sponsoring us on Monday nights. Appreciate Monster Energy being on the car and all my teammates at Team Name. Congrats to Donnie on the win. And appreciate everybody out there watching.
Absolutely, man. Well, great job tonight, and congrats on the top 3.
Thanks. See you in a couple weeks. I'm going to the beach.
Oh, enjoy the beach. As David Comstock apparently going on vacation, so he'll be back shortly. Nothing wrong with that as we move him down the team. Oh, as he, of course, says something, I rudely cut him off. How nice of me. All right, second place finisher, Pedro Mojica. I'm sure he's not going to be too happy with this one, but, you know, at least he does get a P2 out of it, Kev. I think you got him.
Yeah, I do. Pedro, second tonight, and just continue to put in those top 3s every week. And I don't know what you could have found to try and catch the 29. He was a rocket ship tonight.
Yeah, I mean, earlier in the race, I was all over Donnie. I think I was running about the same pace as him. I don't know on the long run what would have happened. Unfortunately, I've been reviewing video. I did get a little bit of left front damage after one of the restarts. The one that Kevin didn't get a great start, I ran in the back of him to help him. And in doing so, I buckled up the left front fender and splitter. So I think that kind of made the tightness a little worse for me. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I lost way too much time to Donnie. Because once I, like, typical cautions come out at the wrong time for me. It's like I blew the corner racing Kevin for second. Kevin got around me. Literally the yellow comes out right as soon as he gets around me. And then the next restart, he gets a terrible start and I'm stuck behind him. So, you know, essentially in a span of 5 or 6 laps, I went from second to 5th. And so I had to pick and maneuver my way through that, and it's so hard to pass here. So by the time I got past everybody, I was already over 3 seconds behind Donnie. So I lost way too much time. And yeah, definitely at the end, I could feel like just the car just didn't want to turn on entry, so I really had to slow my entry up. So I lost like another second to Donnie before everybody started pitting. So all in all, it was a good race. I mean, like I said, I had a little bit of damage, which probably have affected me a little bit. But yeah, I mean, between that and just you know, cautions coming out at the wrong time for myself and getting jacked up on restarts, you know, I mean, the fact that we finished second, I guess, can't complain too much.
We always talk about the ability for drivers to relive the race, and you know every moment of it. One of the things I want to take you back to is Donnie pitted on lap 77. You pitted around lap 85. Do you think if you had pitted differently, would that have made any changes for you?
Maybe. I thought about trying to pit about the same time as him to just see if maybe I could make up that gap, but it would have been tough. Like, you know, we were running about the same speeds to start, you know. So I don't know if I would have been able to make up that entire gap. And then on top of that, you know, would I have burned my tires up trying to catch them? So got a couple wins in the bank where, you know, I knew that probably, you know, kind of looking at where everybody else was doing, I was like, well, the worst we're going to do is finish second. So, you know, we're here to try to win. So I just try to stay long and hope for a yellow just because it's so tricky to get on this pit road with the access road. So yeah. I was taking a bet that somebody was going to screw up and come back on the track and cause a yellow. So unfortunately for us, that didn't happen. But I mean, in the end, we ended up where we were at most of the race.
Yeah, super close. We did have one moment where one car, might have been Scott Simley, slid up onto the racetrack, but was able to gather it up. Or 26, I don't remember. But, you know, I have to reflect something for you is, it's strange, isn't it, to be disappointed with second after last year's run to come in here. It's a good thing, I would say, Pedro. It's just an incredible been having so far, stringing these top threes together. It's a marquee season, and I don't know if you are living in that moment, but I want to remind you just how good the performance has been this year.
No, for sure. I mean, I guess it takes some solace in it. I mean, yeah, I want to win. Everybody wants to win. But I mean, we got 3 wins, and I think this is like our 5th second place finish, and we got like maybe 2 or 3 third place finishes. So like that's most of the season. So yeah, I think if we keep doing that, especially in the playoffs, if the only way somebody's going to beat that is if they win every race in the playoffs. So, which is hard to do. There's a handful of drivers that are really good every week that can win at any given time. So yeah, I've kind of just taken it as is, and I think the biggest thing too is just, especially now we're starting to count down the races before the playoffs. I think we got like 10 or so left, so trying to keep the points lead so we get that additional bonus points going into the first round. So that'd be nice.
Yeah, the complexion of the raceways in the last stretch, Talladega, Dover, Kansas, Darlington, Charlotte, and now Gateway, they couldn't have been any different. Next week we head into Auto Club before we go off to Chicagoland and have an off week for the 4th of July, and you've just shown speed at every racetrack. So I'm going to circle that number 58 for come championship time. Who do you want to give a shout out to there, Pedro?
Yeah, so I'd like to, appreciate you guys, Kevin and Chris, for putting on the broadcast, and Captain Esports. You guys do a phenomenal job. Trans Service, Glenn Campbell, I appreciate them for jumping on board. Max Graphics for painting the car, and then this week I decided to run again the scheme with Judah on it. So hope he's doing good. Hope family's doing good. And then all the admins at Sim500, appreciate them, everything they do. All the guys at Team Name. Again, we had pretty solid runs, and Donnie got his first win of the year, I believe. So congrats to him. NC811, Call Before You Dig. Appreciate them for sponsoring the Cup Series and Xfinity Series and everything they do for the league. And then yeah, just appreciate the family for letting me come down and hang out for a couple hours.
There you go. He's second place tonight and leading the point championship. As we head into next week, we'll turn to Chris Scala, who has caught up with our winner, Donnie Leah.
Yeah, Donnie Leah put the open to him here this evening. Congratulations to him as we pull him up here. I'm pretty sure he didn't expect it, but Donnie definitely took him to the shed tonight, my man. Great job dominating this race, and obviously the feelings after 136 laps and pretty much leading everything but the green flag pit stops.
Oh yeah, that was perfect run for me. Man, tough racetrack. Don't have many laps here. A lot of work driving this, almost like a road course kind of. But like I said, I didn't know what to expect, and the first portion of the race obviously was a ton of yellows, and then we had that long run to the end, so that was cool. It worked out. I guess it worked out, but definitely a tough racetrack. I gotta say that.
Couldn't help but ask here in this situation. I was watching the way you were running, and it seemed like you were bringing a little short track method out there, especially 3 and 4s where I noticed it the most. You were pulling out the diamond.
Yeah, it seemed to work for me, and I noticed that I was getting through 3 and 4 really well compared to everybody else. So I don't know if they were running up higher. It was hard to say because I led so many laps. I didn't see what they were doing, but I tried to just I was just bottom feeding, hardcore, and it worked for me. I could I found bite down there, and the problem off the corners here was just forward drive, so right. The whole key to the 3 and 4 for me was just being on the bottom, coming off of 4, real as low as I could get, and pointed in the right direction, obviously, and then I can get back in the gas real well. The car was a real handful off the corners, everywhere really, but off the corner on feeding it to the throttle was a real challenge. But found some spots that really worked for me, and was able to just kind of stay there, and the track didn't change a whole lot, so I was able to just run the same line pretty much the whole race. But had a few moments there. I don't know if you guys caught it in 1 and 2, and you slip up, you lose concentration just for a second here
Right.
at this place, and you just miss the corner, and into the fence you go. It was crazy. So just a real lack of grip, but a challenge nonetheless, and it was fun for sure.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, and that's Kevin kind of pointed that out. How the entrance into the corner and how you were bringing it off and almost pointing out a certain if it was something on the wall or whatever, and you were kind of driving straight at it coming off of turn 4. And my first thought was, well, he's driving the car straight off, which a lot of us probably have a lot of wheel in the car at that point coming off of 3 and 4, and it's causing them to either break loose or whatever, but you're going straight off, and having more forward bite was probably helping a ton.
Yeah, carried a lot of momentum off of 4 for sure. Every lap, I noticed that sort of was definitely better than anyone that I was around. So, but anyway, I really got to thank you guys for doing this broadcast, and I got to thank Joey and all the admins, Trans Service for sponsoring the series, and wish I could make more of these races. But the ones that I do make lately have been we've had a good time, and it's fun to run up front. It's been a while. I haven't won in a while, so it feels good to win a race. It brings different dynamic to it when you could pull off a win over these guys. These are some of the best guys to race against. Them so fast. Pedro has been killing it, and all these guys really. There's probably 10 people here that just are hard to beat. So definitely a great night, and just want to thank everybody and my team name, everybody on that deal. It's fun to be around them guys, and just a lot of information, and all help each other out. So it's a pretty cool deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I do want to mention before I let you go here, I did notice you had the Kevin Harvick Busch Light throwback in St. Louis.
Yeah, I guess so I had that from Darlington. We Joey had asked everybody to run whatever the cars were racing this week, and it worked for me because 29, no one's really running 29. So, and then he ran it at so it was a cool paint job to slap on my car, and took it to victory lane. So pretty cool.
Yeah,
cool deal. I didn't do a burnout. I thought, you know what, everybody does burnouts, and it's just I'm gonna be a little old school and just park it at start finish line.
Nothing wrong with that. And ironically, today, I think it is the 10-year anniversary of Jason Leffler passing away. So, and they always say, he was one of the dirt guys they parked it for. I know a few of them out there, Brian Clausen, and a couple others. But no, great job tonight, Donnie. And I think you had a special anniversary last week. Somebody I saw on Twitter mentioned, but we won't get.
Oh, really?
I think it was your win at Mansfield.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was Memorial Day weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, so still one of the best truck finishes of all time. Period. I don't care anybody says.
It just reminds me how old I'm getting. That's all.
Well, considering the track don't even exist anymore, I hate to say that, but
yeah, it's just I don't want to talk about it.
I know. Yeah, I'm with
but anyway,
you.
to come out here, but to be able to do this, still do this, been racing online probably 29 years now. So I was first on Hawaii back in Pyrrhus, and when they started that deal, I was thinking about that today because guys were talking about how old certain guys were and whatnot, and I'm like, I'm thinking about how long I've been doing this. It's kind of crazy, but
yeah,
but it's a ton of fun. But thanks again, guys, and thank you to Sim500 and Trans Service and everybody. So appreciate it.
Thanks, Donnie. Appreciate it, man. Congrats on your win.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Absolutely, Donnie Leah, the winner tonight, and congratulations to him on getting the win. And good to see him in victory lane. He just plain beat everybody's tail tonight when it was all said and done. So, I don't know what else to put it, man.
Question of that. Where? How long has he been racing? You heard what he said. He's been racing since Hawaii. For those of you who don't know, right? And for him to still enjoy it, to get the sensation of accomplishment and knowing what he's done and revel in that. Here's a guy who sits behind the wheel of a real race car in some of the top series of all of NASCAR, and he comes and races with us and still can find the appreciation for it and reminisce over the history. I say that with a capital H, history of sim racing.
Yeah.
Going back to Papyrus days, there's some cash and coolness to thinking back through all of that and having lived those days. Been there and done that.
Oh,
I enjoy hearing people talk about that.
No, I'm right with them. I mean, I played those games back in the day, the Bill Elliott NASCARs, the Kyle
Yeah.
Petty's, the Andretti's, all those games. I'm sure I'm missing plenty of them, but I mean,
The
you go
Indy
back
race.
to the Indy racing game, and then of course Papyrus had their stuff come out in the mid '90s, and we were on there playing it. I was doing the same thing, and I was only a teenager at that point, not even a teenager at that point when they were coming out. So,
Yeah, I remember going from pole position in the mall to Bill Elliott's NASCAR
Yeah.
show.
yeah,
Right.
That's exactly it. So it's always cool to hear those kind of throwbacks, and yeah, for Donnie to do what he's done. He's driven, of course, in the Wayla Modified Series, got that truck win at Mansfield that we talked about there for a split second, and I think I feel kind of like how he feels about that track being wiped out. It shouldn't have been, but anyways, that's another story for another day. So we're gonna head out, man, and great job, Kev, as always. And next week we go to Auto Club Speedway. We're going to California.
Yeah, side by side, lap after lap, wheel to wheel, 2, 3, 4 wide sometimes. Incredible draft, wide open racetrack, which makes just for amazing racing all the way through from drop of the green flag to the checkered. You're not going to want to miss.
It's another track where I'll tell you this: they will not be running the bottom.
You better know what's below when you go to that.
Absolutely. So that's gonna be a lot of fun to check out. So hey, appreciate Kevin as always, man. We will see you next week. Absolutely, buddy. And we will go from there. But yeah, Auto Club Speedway next Monday night. Now next Sunday, the NC811 Grand National Series will sit right here at this track at Gateway for their race, and then Auto Club on Monday for the Cup Series. So we will head out from there. Always remember, this isn't just a game; it's iRacing. See ya.
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless. A sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it. And I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring. My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great.